Hey everyone, and welcome to Outcast, where you are the outcast, but you are also not the outcast. My name is Levi, and we are glad to have you here today. Sit back, enjoy yourself, and take away something special from today's podcast. We plan to stick around. If you do, you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podbean. With that being said, enjoy today's podcast. Yo, what's going on, everyone? So, I have someone with me today, which is why I actually decided to do a podcast. Other than that, I probably wouldn't have decided to do it. His name's Jacob. You guys may have seen him. If you guys follow me on YouTube, I think he's been in one of my videos.
At least two or three.
Probably two or three. I'm not too sure which videos it is. My memory is very blank on that. But anyway, so we're here today. We're doing a podcast. We're just going to honestly be talking about something we were talking about before this podcast, and we'll talk about a bunch of other different things. But one of the things we were talking about right before this podcast is just your mind's ability to be a weak little bitch.
Yes.
And because we were both talking about moving out and just like how great it sounds like, oh, I'm going to move out of my house and I'm going to save up enough to pay rent for like certain amount of months. But then like when you know that rent's covered, your brain
gets like so easy to just rest.
It has like this stagnancy to it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I have a really good example of this that I don't really like to talk about because I don't like to admit to being weak. But this happened, I feel like, last year in my career. And I mean, there's dopamine, there's like so many other things involved. And like one of the things was I was dating a girl, I was doing YouTube, I was making money. Mm-hmm. And when you're saucing you're saucing on them, and like your dopamine's like at like a super high state. Yeah. So then you don't feel like motivated to like do much else. Like looking back, there was so many times I remember I'd sit there and be like, oh, like I should start merch. Or, oh, I should do this.
It starts off with that thought in your head, and then it's like, it's you to take the action to kind of like make that a bigger thought in your head. Yeah. Because it's just a thought. You know how many thoughts you have in a day.
Yeah.
It goes by and like disappears from your head. You never even think about it again.
Yeah, 100%. Like, that's everything. So it's like when that thought comes, like either you take action or you don't. Mm-hmm. And I have this thing, and it's called the danger zone. And I've never talked about this even in a YouTube video. So like the danger zone to me, it's inspired by the song in Top Gun, by the way.
Bro, Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, I saw it last night.
I was invited to see it, and I was in Idaho working on construction stuff. So, so the danger zone to me is a time and place where your mind has to make like a split decision. Mm-hmm. Is this going to be something I take action on or I don't take action on? And the reason it's dangerous is because when you make a decision, either it's going to be good or it's going to be bad. Mm-hmm. You don't know, but we most likely know the one that's not going to be good most of the time. Like there's that one option that's like, okay, this isn't going to play out at all. And so the danger zone is like when you're in that, and I call it the danger zone. Yeah, that state of mind where you're in that, like, you know, it's 5:30 in the morning. You got to get up, and you're sitting there contemplating.
It's like once that alarm clock hits, you got 5 seconds to decide: am I gonna get up and start my day, or am I gonna go back and put the covers down?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, dude, from personal experience, I remember in school when I had a 0-hour class, so I'm waking up an hour earlier than everybody else.
So like 5:30.
Yeah, and so every single time I had like. I knew exactly how much time I had before I had to
get up.
I had to get up. And so during that time, I had like 5 alarms. And each time I'd wake up and I'd tip like, okay, I'm going to start my day. Yeah. Nothing's going to stop me. And then I look.
Yeah, but if I leave it this, like, you calculate
and then you're like,
the time.
I know I have 5 more minutes. After this 5 minutes, I'm going to be good. I'm going to be rested.
Yeah.
It's another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's another 5 minutes. And then 15 minutes, 20 minutes gone by. And you're like, I gotta go now.
Yeah,
that's your deadline, and I mean, I think that's what we were talking about before.
Yeah, 100% like, deadlines,
dude. Having that deadline and having like almost that anxiety of I have to do this or else blank's gonna happen, you know. And I feel like we kind of abuse that factor if we have too much time ahead of ourselves. Our end goal, our deadline is 3-4 months in advance.
Yeah,
you have the first month of. It's like 3 months away. That's 90 days. I can get that done in 90 days, which really, if you were incrementally doing stuff every single day, like if you had a 40-page essay, doing at least 1 page, or at least maybe like 4 sentences, 5 sentences each day, you'd have that done, no stress. But think about, you'd have to write a 40-page essay in like, what, the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, 100%.
Wouldn't be the quality, wouldn't have the effort, wouldn't have the actual care into it, and it's most likely just how much anxiety you have pent up trying to excrete all that knowledge that you're trying to put out, either whether it's like work or if it's like a project or even, bro, you can't build a body for a bodybuilding show in like 2 months.
2 months, no.
You know? It's like, I always like to think, bro, like Arnold Schwarzenegger back in his last retiring years, Mr. Olympia, like his, I think it was 7th Olympia, so that was his last one. And then he came back for the 81 Olympia.
Yeah.
He trained for 8 weeks, and he made it a point, like, oh, I can win this Olympia if I had trained for 8 weeks. There'd be nothing compared to me. And, bro, it was that show. All right, it was 1980 was the show, because Frank Zane and Mike Minzer both had, like, absolute, like, shit their pants moment of, this is bullshit. He came in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And he supposedly won.
Yeah.
And it just shows, like, everybody knew Arnold wasn't at his best. Everybody knew that.
Everyone knows that.
He just kind of did it on a whim. And everybody else that had that hard work and, like, kind of got cheated out of that moment changed the game forever. They didn't come back. Menser left. He didn't even talk to, like, Werner anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And then Zane just basically kind of dipped off in the face of everything, didn't come back.
I mean, I don't blame people for when that happens, because it's almost like what you see today now, like the way I look at it, just like a generation thing where it's like you could be working your ass off towards something and someone just puts in like a middle school effort, and then because your brain is like wired the way it is, it's like, okay, if I'm gonna why work this hard if this person right here is
skating by and
skating by. Like if I'm gonna put on the winner's mentality, then why bother? Why am I going to go into this, like, working my ass off, essentially, to go, oh, well, this person it's not luck, usually, it's
preparation. It's like, you have the opportunity, and you were prepared for that opportunity, then that's considered, like, luck in somebody's eyes.
Yeah.
It's, let's say you weren't prepared for the opportunity at hand, like, somebody comes around saying, hey, I'm doing, like, roofing or something down in Colorado for $35 an hour, but it's during that summertime where you're like, I don't know, like you weren't prepared for it. You don't really know how to roof, and like, you're not used to working like 12 hours a day or something, you know what I mean? And not being prepared for that, you missed that opportunity. And then let's say you needed that money down the line, or you needed that experience down the line, because you weren't prepared for that, you didn't have that experience, henceforth future opportunities you're gonna miss out on. And then 100%. If you just take like 10% of that effort that you could have done to be prepared for that situation and prepared for that opportunity, then you would be able to have exponential growth in future endeavors and outcomes. Because think about, if you do good work on like any type of manual labor job, or like a service type of job, that's word of mouth is spreading to other people. And they say, hey, this guy's quality, he takes care of his customers, he knows you, and he will talk to you about any problem you have. That gets spread around, and then more people come to you. Like, that's like a one-on-one return basis almost, if somebody has a good experience. But let's say you just don't care about the work and you're looking at the paycheck and you just put half my focus on it. I load too much work on into my business, and henceforth the quality gets diluted. That means more people are going to be like, yo, this guy doesn't really take care of his customers, he doesn't care about his people, he doesn't really focus on you as a priority, and that's going to lead to less growth, and then kind of more strife for your business or like what your endeavor is, you know. And the more strife you have, the more you're going to be like, fuck this, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to give up sooner than, let's say, a slight discomfort now every single day. That would be like, you can live with it. It's like a little 3-year-old at your leg saying, like, nagging on it, you know? Like, okay, I get it. It's like slightly annoying, but doing that thing for them, like basically like listening to that 3-year-old, like listening to what they have to say, that will kind of help you out more than say pushing the kid away and saying ignoring him. When they grow up, think about how those kids are going to be acting, how they're going to like perceive you as a person. And you can kind of think of anything as like a little kid, or like your kind of child, like I forget the term people use, but like not love child, but like if you have a passion, like you created a business from scratch, and then like that's your creation, that's your project, and you feel more connected to that than if you were to go to a manager position at some chain. You know what I mean? Like it's not as personal. It's like it may be paying the same, but that connection. You don't have that.
Yeah, passion, like people, like for people listening that have no idea what it's like when you have a passion in something that you've created. It's literally, I kid you not, a child, a literal child, and I literally kid you not, like, and this is only coming from like experience with like everything that I've done. Like things have been slow right now. I haven't been busting my ass off as much for it. Mental health took a decline when I got back, but that doesn't mean every single day that I wake up, like when you have a passion, your mind is constantly thinking about
you never forget your passion.
No, you never forget your passion. And like my mind is constantly like thinking, okay, like, well, what could I do to do this? Like you're not, I have to say this, like, I don't know if people know, like, I'm pretty sure people know this that have children, obviously, but like when you have children, you don't live in the moment anymore. Like you have times, obviously, when you go on vacation and stuff, but like
your focus is on them.
Yeah, your focus on.
If you're a good, like, kind of a good parent, like you want to raise them to be respectable people, or like people that can fend for themselves. You know, be competent. And raising a kid is way more work than people think it is. They think it's 100%. Like a dog that you're. Oh, I'm feeding. I'm taking them out. I'm changing them. Like no, you're thinking about when they're adolescents, very adaptive and very like malleable in their brain, so they can be taught anything. A 5-year-old can be a master pianist, you know. They can learn multiple languages. They can be acrobats.
Sorry, it sounded like you said penis. I was like, dude, that's not right.
They can be master pianist.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, as I was saying, it was like you can teach them so many things, and like as you grow older and kind of the behaviors you learn, the either negative or positive thought loops, or like experiences that you have, you know, that can affect you towards if you were gonna then learn a language, then become an acrobat, or like learning those skills, then you'd be a lot more like brittle or like harder to bend. You're not as malleable, you know what I mean? And it's about the nurture and like the kind of area or culture or even environment you raise your kid in, or raise a person that you're trying to influence in. Because think about the relationship between Customano and Mike Tyson. You know, back in the day, it was Mike wasn't like this god at boxing to begin with. He had stature for it. At 14, bro, he was like 205. And he had like almost 20-inch arms coming in and like mugging somebody on the streets. But then he like went to, I forget who it was. I don't know if Cuss found him or not, but eventually it led him to Ali and then Customano, and Cuss basically took him in as a son. Like literally that was his blood, seeing him in that ring or even outside, taking him home like after practice to his family and having like a family dinner, raising him, going on walks with him. He was there with him every single step of the way outside of the ring. And he was like nurturing him, saying, this kid's gonna be the champion. This kid's gonna be heavyweight champion of the world. And Mike didn't believe it in himself, but he had Cuz all along the way teaching him, and he believed in him, and he had that passion, and he looked in his eyes, like that fire in his eyes, saying, you're gonna be heavyweight champion of the world. This is how you're gonna do it. And he went with him every step of the way. And if you ever see him talk about him now, it's like he literally gets choked up thinking about him. He impacted him that much. And that's like how I want to be like impacting on like other people or my kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. I mean, have you done did you ever try out for track?
I did 9th grade.
Did you know Coach Zeroflu? The javelin coach?
No.
Okay, so this is funny you bring that up. So, like, some coaches are like this and some coaches aren't. So, Zeroflu is like Mike Tyson's coach.
Got you.
And so, like, you're right. Because when someone's, like, passionate about something, he's passionate about javelin. You wouldn't guess it because he's, like, 65 overweight. And, you know, it's a little different. Part, it doesn't look the part, but, like, his passion's there. Because literally, I'm, like, I would wake up and check my email in high school. I don't know. It's just been a habit of mine checking my email.
I mean, good now.
It's really good now. I mean,
you wouldn't think back then.
Yeah, back then.
What, getting like, oh, you overdue library book.
Yeah, library book, freaking subscription to
your Jimmy John's emails coming in. $5 off.
Yeah, $5 off. Oh, dude, no way we can go after school. You know, stupid stuff like that. But, like, he would email me at, like, 10:30 p.m. at night going, oh, I'm watching, like, the film right now. And I'm just like, dude, you've been watching that for how long now? Like, And then he'll
at 3.
Yeah, practice ended at 3. Well, 5 because you talked to me. And then what was it? Then I get to practice, and he's like, I was thinking about, and I'm like, dude, you've been thinking about this all day. Mm-hmm. That's why because like when you're constantly thinking of something like related to your passion,
on it, and it's just
you can bring it up all the time. Yeah. Like it's so hard to explain everything. Like the only times that I'm not thinking about what I'm working toward, like even when I'm on the treadmill, reading my book, I literally kid you not, I'm like reading the words and then I'm tying the story into my passion. Like I was I was reading this book, and then the guy's talking about the book of Nehemiah in it and how he built the thing, and I'm like, okay, well, if like I can build my business like this, and I can like do this, and I can get people to come along, and I'm like literally,
I get you.
I'm tying my passion so.
It's natural to do.
Yeah, it's super natural to do that.
Because I mean, think about old-timey fables and think about stories that we read about, like fantasies, but really they have an underlying message or like theme or motif to bring up like English class. I know we all love that, but basically like those old stories and those like kind of fables. Think about like Three Little Pigs, the Boy Who Cried Wolf.
Yeah,
those stories have a message underneath it. Like Boy Who Cries 100%. Wolf is like talks about integrity and character and truth and how things can go horribly wrong if you decide to fabricate reality from like false words, because you think about it, it's like if you really like start lying to be like, if you're a compulsive liar, it's terrible for you if people know you're a liar. You'd be like exiled, ostracized, you wouldn't have any friends, no one would really go to you for anything. But then that's the thing, like it's only if I get caught, and then like that's a whole risk situation. But liars, you never really see them prosper until they kind of had their fall, and it's terrible to like know somebody's lying, because then you're not true to yourself. You don't have that integrity. You don't have that character. Everything about you like this false bravado or persona that you're displaying to people, and that's like, I feel like that's super like coming from a place of insecurity. Like you can't be true to yourself or like tell the truth, which I mean everybody has that capability. Everybody has like the capability to be completely evil and completely like holy and like good in sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's like the world that we're kind of in. You get influenced by the wrong type of people. You become like the people that you hang around or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like you can't ever lie. Like, I mean, in my experiences, I was talking to someone.
Justify.
I don't like the lies I've told, like,
because white lies, like small, minuscule, like not really impactful lies, but
like I'm trying to think of something, because I'm so hard on myself. Like so today even happened. So Ezra, I was talking to my friend. He goes, "This is the kind of lies I'll tell. This is like it. I would never lie about like."
Major stuff,
like
that's gonna impact you.
Like when I was in 10th grade, I'll say it's like my dad asked me if I was smoking weed. I literally in my head I had 2 seconds to measure out the consequences. If I lie, the truth's gonna come out either way at one point. And so I just decided to. That's a big decision. But like today, for example, I'm walking with my friend and he goes, "Hey, like this gun shop, I was there checking it out. They let me hold a Glock." Said the name of the shop. I've heard about it before because of like some news article thing where like people were standing outside of there during COVID-19 because they didn't want people rushing in and they were guarding it. And so there was that, and he was like, "Yeah, you know that place in Bonnie Lake?" And I was like, yeah, I know where it's at. And then I'm like, I don't know where it's at. And then I was like, well, no. And I told him, I caught it in my head. But like that's the kind of lies I'll tell, because like I'm just trying to. It's like I'm trying to make the conversation fluid. I'm not
it would stop the conversation midpoint and be like, "Yeah, bro, nah, can you explain that for me?" It gets them kind of off their train of thought, and you know that, and you want to be like courteous and like cordial. It's like, "No, yeah, I know it," and so they can continue on with their thought process and continue on with what they were saying.
Yeah, if they get too far off, then I'll stop and be like, "Dude, I was kind of lying."
I know, it's like saying like, "Yeah, so you know that direct like precept, and probably like take this left and right," and you're like, "Nah, bro."
I can't tell you.
But no, like those type of lies are kind of the thing that everybody kind of does. It's like not impactful, but you see yourself saying, "Well, I kind of did lie, and it's like nothing really bad happened. So what can I get away with?" You know, it kind of leads to that type of thinking if it's unchecked. You know.
Yeah, like your brain 100%. I wouldn't say that I don't think people's brains like to lie. I don't think, because to me, like, it's instinctively, because Jordan Peterson even says this, like, where do morals come from? Anyone who lies knows it's wrong. Like, I don't think you can get a dopamine hit off it. I don't think your brain goes, oh, like, this is how we do it now. Like, the ways that I've lied that have impacted me a lot, I think were, and this is how I'm trying, like, this is where I'm trying to get. And it's, sometimes I think people are lying without understanding it, because I think sometimes, like, you're raised a certain way. And so, like, because I know a lot of people can relate to this, so I'm not even going to just make it about myself. But this is something that I've done. A lot of the times in relationships, it's not that I would act not who I was, because I definitely would. I'd still be goofy. I'd still curse. I'd still do this around them.
It's 100% genuinely you is what you're working towards.
It's me, but there was things that I did that weren't me, that were lies. And it is, like he said, when you lie, it's out of insecurity. And so looking back, I don't know what I'd have ever to be insecure about, but the things I would do is I would break my going to bed early thing. I would break, oh, no, I'm not busy right now. I would break, like, these things, and they were lies, but, like, I mean, it's not, and I mean, a lot of people do this, like, in relationships especially. You don't really realize, like, it's a lie at that point, because you're just trying to make the other person feel good. But when, I would say in my experience, like, there's a point where, and you do, like, people will experience this elsewhere, like maybe in a job or something, you've done this where you just get burnt out and you're like, I can't do this anymore. Like, for me, that happened, like, especially when I was in Houston. I was just like, dude, there's a time difference now. I'm 2 hours ahead. I got to get to bed. And then people start questioning, like, oh, I thought you were like this person. Oh, you're a liar. And you're like, no, I'm not a liar. Like, I was just trying to, like, I just wanted you to like me, and, like, I didn't want to seem like I'm, like, this old man. It's like, bro, who cares if you're like that? So I would say just lying is weird, because I think there's people that, like I said, morally know that their lying is getting them far in a really bad sense. Like, people that lie about, like, oh, I'm, for example, just because we both like fitness. If someone's claiming to be natural and they're making money off their physique, Liver King. Oh, whoops, that slipped. Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, if you're lying about, like, your natural status, and
that's deceiving to other people, especially, like, influential young kids that are, like, watching you, saying, I'm a natural athlete. Like, I look back to when I started watching YouTube fitness, like 2016 era. So that was like post Z's era. So like everything's opening to YouTube now.
You said 2016, right?
Yeah, 2016.
So Christian Guzman, Jeff Side.
Especially Jeff Side. You had Anthony Mantello. I mean,
in 2016?
Not Anthony Mantello. He was young. He was like my age.
Yeah.
No, we had David Lade, and then we had
David Lade. Yeah.
Who was the other Sauce King?
Dylan McKenna.
No, Dylan was
Quinn Vitale.
Quinn Vitale, bro.
Yeah.
Quinn Vitale. He was the one that was on, like, bro, you can watch his YouTube now. He explained everything, but he was basically on, like, growth hormone. He was like orals. So he was on, I don't know, Diobol, but it was a lot of SARMs. So a lot of different variety SARMs that you can get in GNC back in the day. And you see the photos of him at 16, dude, like 205.
Dude, those guys were big.
I was looking at them, like, me. Think about, like, 120-pound post-appendix surgery, like, emaciated Jacob. He's like, oh, I can be this guy in 3 years?
Yeah.
I was like, I'd train my ass off. I'd go eat, but that's the mentality that I had. I thought it was achievably naturally. So I was like, I have to do everything perfect. Get 6 days a week. Get 8 hours of rest. Do everything in the gym that I can. But I didn't know anything about proper technique. I didn't listen to natural athletes that are, like, natural powerlifters or natural bodybuilders. The way they routine and do exercise is completely different. And I mean, just looking back at what, like, people that were on gear and, like, lying about it were saying, and I follow their routines and start doing what they're doing. But it wasn't benefiting me as much as it would if I did my own research to even have them as an influence and just, how do I lift weights, how do I bench properly, et cetera. But having that, like, type of influence around you, it gets you led down the wrong path and you waste time, or you get bad behaviors that you have to now fix, or injuries that you now have to fix because of X, Y, and Z program that, like, V-Shred fucking like recommended you know what I mean? So I think YouTube fitness is kind of grown away from that. It is broken. It's like you have subsects, like it's like almost like Hunger Games, bro. You have different districts. So it's like you have mainstream YouTube fitness, you have underground YouTube fitness, where it's literally just one guy that's been bodybuilding for 8 years.
Yeah.
And he tells, like, this is what I worked out today. This is my program.
Yeah.
And then you have, like, normal chats to the camera saying, yo, what's up, subscribers?
Yeah.
And they just have that down to earth kind of like one-on-one with the camera. And I feel like that type of, like, content is better for people getting into fitness.
Yeah.
That builds them a base and foundation to where they can be themselves and, like, kind of create their own program.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't know, they like those type of, like, different types of subsects. Like, you have the powerlifting groups, you have the roided powerlifting groups, you have the natural powerlifting groups, you have the, like, young guys, you have the, like, 30 guys. Like, there's so many different areas of YouTube fitness that has tons of people that have, like, millions of subscribers, which they're all successful in their area, but it's so different. And
it is really different.
Who knows which is the best for you?
You might
like one type of content, but the way they do around, like, your specific goals, it might not be the most beneficial person to listen to.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I'm not going to bash this person. I feel even comfortable saying their name because I was not necessarily interested in the physique side of their stuff because I barely learned anything from like their like full days of eating or stuff like that. Like I just kind of figured that stuff out myself a little bit.
It's natural to learn more about it, like nutrition, especially like weight training when you're doing it. You experience, like, am I even getting a pump from this? Am I getting stronger at this? Those are things you can tell. Like,
you're looking in the mirror and stuff. Yeah.
And I mean, even nutrition wise, you can guess, like, I don't know if eating 14 Big Macs a day is good. Like, considered a bulking diet. Like, bro, you understand, like, bulking on whole foods. Like, you have a steak and rice meal, salmon and rice meal, like, even like beans and tortillas.
Yeah.
Bro. Like, you think about those type of foods, you can have that type of whole food that's like actual calories that you can
100%.
track down, and they're lower than like the fucking garbage fast food or like candy bulks 100%. That people do. And I mean, that's how I started out. Like, my first year of fitness, I was like, I'm a hard gainer. I believed all those like type of lies that people tell you, like, bro, no, I'm an ectomorph, I'm a mesomorph.
Yeah,
bro.
I don't even pay attention to that stuff,
bro. It's like one of my friends. I'm glad he like helped me out. It was like Abraham. This dude was. I always looked to him when he bulked because he was just like me, skinny wise.
Yeah.
But he did a 10,000 calorie, like, a day type of bulk,
and he just
for
got
6
big.
months.
Yeah.
And he gained like 35 pounds, but he got permanent like gyno from it.
Oh, what the heck?
Because he gained so much fat so fast.
Yeah.
And he was like really young too, and he was only caring about numbers on the bar.
He's just being an idiot.
Bigger. Yeah, because
no offense.
I mean, it was at that time, you know.
Yeah.
He was watching the same guys I was doing, and then he was like, I'm gonna deadlift as much as David Lade, or I'm gonna deadlift as much as fucking Quinn Vitale, you know what I mean? And back then, dudes were strong as fuck. They were like pulling like 635 on a deadlift at 918.
Yeah.
At like 178 pounds or something. So like body weight, or no, strength to weight ratios off the charts.
Yeah, 100%.
And, I mean, he did get stronger. He has like a 600 pound deadlift now. But it's like sumo wise, and I watched him progress, and he's still natty, bro. But he always complains, like, bro, I have gyno because of that bulk, and like I thought it was the right way to do it. But going back, I would have been like, shut the fuck up, bro. Just get on like a 3,000 calorie surplus, like 3,000 calories a day. You'll be fine for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, people underestimate how much a slight calorie increase, like 400 calories, is a bulk.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, it's not crazy 2,000 calories and then you're cutting for 8 weeks to get back to where you were, and like that's too fast, and that's too drastic.
Way too fast.
You want to stay at like a 12 to 15% range. You'll get the most strength gains, and you'll get the most muscle mass per like body fat ratio from that, and that's so easily tweakable. You know, like add 200 calories, take away 200 calories.
Yeah, it's easy to
adjust
manage.
my macros. You see the changes, and you're able to learn your body better than. Bro, I was on 800 calories surplus this day, and I was at 1,200 calories that day, but I was negative 600 the next day. Like, those type of huge increases in bulks, you'll never be able to gauge truly, like, how my body reacts to things. What type of foods is good for my specific genetics, even, because, like, you can think your genetics is a predisposed reaction to food.
Yeah,
you know, like
100%.
if your ancestors have been eating rice or potatoes for generations, you'll be more susceptible to processing and eating those type of foods than, let's say, like sashimi or sushi if you're from Ireland.
Yeah,
know what I mean?
100%.
Like, you wouldn't have that type of diet.
That's so true.
You know? And then people underestimate, like, no, this is the diet that is supposed to get me big, that's worked for this guy. And they look at his results, and they don't consider to think, what's his genetics like? What his bone structures like? What is his muscle insertions like? What are his genetics like?
Yeah.
Who are his parents? Were they active? Did they have a background in any type of knowledge? And they totally forget like the nature of the person and the way that they were nurtured to be who they were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. Well, like I don't. What was it? Like people don't understand. Like I feel like this is really confusing for people to get, especially with calories. And I do want to touch back onto something right after this that had to do with the influence. But one of the things that I get a lot is like I stay lean year round.
Yeah, same here.
People, you don't stay on top of your calories. That's why, dude. Yeah. Partially that's true. No offense, I didn't mean to call you out or put you under the bus, but it's true. I've been saying so. But for me, I stay lean not just because like I put fat in certain places. Like my fat goes in my butt, and my legs, a lot of it.
Bro, every girl's chasing.
Yeah, every girl's chasing after my genetics. But like one of the things I also noticed is that my ancestors, I'm Italian, and that's why a lot of Italians to me I feel like are popular in bodybuilding. Or maybe I'm wrong, because it's, for me as an Italian, it's easy to get shredded because if my ancestors ate pasta, potatoes, and then red meats,
you have a high metabolism.
I have a high metabolism already. So when I'm eating 4,200 calories and people are like, oh, do you struggle with that? I've never once struggled to eat 4,200 calories. I could eat 7,000 calories a day if I wanted to and not complain at all.
It's like saying like that, bro. For me, it was the exact opposite way. Because I don't know what you started out. We were both like skinny when we were kids, but
yeah, I was decent. I was always just kind of in the middle. I was skinny, but
yeah, I was on like the skinny side, but like skinny middle. But basically, dude, when I was younger, like 10 years old or like I don't even know that type of age range, because I can't remember how old I was, but I would be like, you know, those Costco burritos, like those El Modelo or something.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So like that 40-pack of burritos, bro. I'd eat 2 of those a day, and that'd be it. Like 800 calories a day as a kid, and like I didn't know anything about protein. All I ate was like carbs.
I'm dead. Just bro, 2 of those.
Yeah, and most of the days it would be full. Like after 1, I'd be like,
dude, that's crazy.
And I would be super active. I'd be running and like doing so many activities, but then I like crash down. And there's like times when you're like a video game, like on video games, bro, like Call of Duty or something for like 3 hours or 4 hours. I'd have 1 and I'd be like, bro, I'm good. I'm set for the next 5 hours. But that kind of led me to like, well, side note, on one of the rules in my house when I was growing up was like, you have to finish your food unless you throw up. Yeah. If you throw up, then you don't have to finish your food. And I was such a picky eater, bro. I don't know why I was like such a picky eater. Like if I didn't like the food, I would literally go to the bathroom and force myself to throw up.
That's
I was extra. I was like that type of kid. I would always take things to the extreme. Like I don't know what it was about me, but I remember this one time I was like 15 and my mom was getting mad at me for something, and she grabbed she was like grabbing stuff out of my room, and she was like, I was like, I don't know why I thought this. I was like, hey, you're gonna grab everything. Might as well take this and throw it down the stairs. And she was like so done with my shit at that point. She just grabbed it and threw it down the stairs. And I was like, in my head, I was like, bro, I know I asked for it, but like, I was hoping she wouldn't. You know, I would always take it to those extremes in every situation. And I feel like that was like a terrible mindset to have. And I grew out of it. But dude, when I was that kid, barely eating anything, forcing myself to throw up because I was so like ignorant to like finishing my own food. Or, like I didn't want to eat. I was so picky that I would rather throw up my food that I'm eating now to get what I want.
That's crazy.
And dude, I think I like kind of it fucked me over on like my puberty like growth era.
Probably definitely could.
Because I was like malnourished, and then going through puberty I was like the same type.
How old were you when you went through puberty? Was it late?
I think I was like 14 or 15, because here's the thing, I didn't grow that much taller.
So you said 14 or 15, or so when were you completely done?
I was probably completely done 10th grade, maybe
10th grade.
I'd say that's when I stopped growing taller.
Okay, stop growing taller. For me, it's about like the look that you have. I've looked like this. Like, I mean, my face has changed.
Facial structure.
My facial like I have a picture of me in 6th grade. It looks super similar to the way I look right now.
It's just like more defined jaw,
there's
like,
different
facial features.
Yes, there's a little more facial features, like aged facial features, but other than that, it's the same jaw structure. Yes, it's the same structure. 6th grade. So like when you say like, oh, 10th grade, like just seeing that there was that big of a difference, because I remember when I was in 6th grade, I was one of the tallest in my class. So it's just weird. Like no, I think I'm trying to get at is just like how different our genetics are just because of what we ate. Because when I was in 6th grade, I always remember my McDonald's order that I would get, because it's just insane looking back. So I would get a Big Mac, and this was just one meal. Like I'd have dinner, breakfast. I would eat 2 bowls of cereal in the morning and a protein
always
shake.
Have other meals, but like that one time.
Yeah,
like, it's like their Subway order, bro. Like, everybody knows their Subway order.
So I would get a Big Mac, 2 McChickens, a large fry, and a large Sprite.
Dang,
like that's a lot, dude. That's like 2,500 something calories or more. So,
like, bro, when we were kids, bro, we were running everywhere too. We were probably burning at least 1,100, 1,500.
I mean, it'd be after football, but still, just like thinking about it, because like kids, my friends would literally look at me like, I don't know how you do that. Like, how are you eating this much? Like, I remember parents would be like, Levi eats so much. Like, what the heck is wrong with him?
I was one of those kids saying like, how are you eating this much?
Yeah, and parents would tell my parents that like Levi has like an issue, like not like
he's gonna get fat.
Like
he's gonna get really fat.
They would just be confused. They like didn't understand.
Where's it going?
Well, that too. They'd be like, "Why? How are you still hungry? Like we just ate now. I don't know. Like I'm just still hungry." But like I guess like tying back to what we were saying, like the influence of like who you're following, not really understanding, because like I do full days of eating, but like I don't think people understand. Like I feel like my full days of eating almost get boring, but to a good extent. I hope people understand why my diet doesn't change too much in them. I do change some things, like the dinners are different, but I want I hope people know, because that's what's worked best for me. Why am I going to do a full day of eating of stuff that's not,
if I'm not going to eat it on the regular, or like eating consistent towards, because both of us as like bodybuilders, we look at food more as fuel
rather than like a gourmet meal. That's why I hate taking forever to make food. That's why I don't like taking forever. But yeah, like we said with the influence, so aside from food, like because that's what a lot of people do, they look in food and stuff. I can't say that these people are wrong for like putting out this. They're not. They're just saying, hey, this is what I eat for a day, and people get ideas off it. And that's not wrong. It's not wrong at all. It's just wrong when you get upset.
People can interpret it in so many different ways, and then
it's wrong when you get upset about it. And for me, Christian Guzman was someone who I didn't follow their full days of eating. It was just the entrepreneurship that they did. I thought I could kind of replicate.
Christian, and you saw like how he went about it. You're like, I have the potential. I have the capabilities of doing that same thing.
I thought so. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's deceiving, because you see something. Yeah, you're inspired. You
look at what the capability, like the potential there is to have this like kind of endeavor.
Yes.
But you kind of underestimate. Okay, what did he do before that to get to that position?
Yes, and
we only see the road. Like, we don't see the journey. We only see A to B.
Yeah,
we don't see like the pitfalls and like the snake ways and like the forks in the road that he had to choose and maneuver from.
100%.
Especially the mentors and people he talked to learn these and kind of have a mindset of entrepreneurship, or even bodybuilding and tying into like opening gyms and stuff.
Yeah, no, 100%, because it's like, for me, it was like a huge disappointment, but like it wasn't a disappointment, because it was like, hold on a second. When you replay back and then you start, because like at first, like I would watch the videos and just be like, oh my God, no way. And then like I started like paying attention. Okay, well, what's he actually doing? Because now I'm in the shoes of like trying to be there and I can't get there. So what's holding me back? What was I not willing to do? Stay up all night editing videos. Staying up all night editing my clothes. Staying up all night and drinking caffeine to get whatever other work done. Not sleeping days on end. What else was I? So that's a lot right there. I wasn't willing to do. What else was I not willing to do? I wasn't willing to
going out, making these connections to people.
Making these connections to people, word of mouth, talking to people, like how to make gyms.
Networking with other people on Instagram,
Yeah.
YouTube, pushing out this content that's getting to these other people and creating like, what is it? Just going, I forget what, collaborations, bro.
Networking, collaborations,
collabs, like same thing almost, but like so many aspects of it that kind of feeds into this one fire that you're doing.
One thing that you're aiming for.
Each thing's like a log that you're putting into.
Yeah.
And like if you don't put it, that fire is going to be smaller and smaller, and slowly it's going to burn out.
100%.
That's why they do these. Like I look at More Plates More Days. Like Derek, he talked about his schedule, saying I was doing 6 days a week, one 24-hour day where I'd stay up all night, work through the night just to get shit done, and then go back to my normal routine schedule. And he was on the grind, like starting out from I forget. I found him at like 100K, and ever since then he'd been like grinding 2 posts a day, posting individual clips from a full length podcast that he still uploaded, and then just keep posting, reels, posting, and then look at Gorilla, and like he's sponsored by Young LA, but dude, his own supplement company that he's manufactured and made and done the research on, it's quality product, as well as the time and effort he made into creating this brand, and then finding these influencers, you could say, to support and like showcase this brand. Because without that effort, that those 24-hour days, 6 days a week type of mentality going through it, he would have never gotten to the place he was now.
Yeah, 100%.
It kind of sees in the fruits of their labor, like how much you put into it is how much you're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
As well as doing it smart. You can't just blindly put work into something that you don't know. It's like 100%. Uploading a 17-hour YouTube video clip that's just literally you waking up, and that's like my full day of eating. It's like literally you just doing everything. It's like you wouldn't know about clip editing. Like even just going scene to scene, how to make things aesthetic, how to make things engaging. Yeah. Because how many people are going to stay and watch your content if it's not engaging? Yeah. It's not catching their eye. It's not giving them something to think about or popping out at them. You know? Yeah. And
you need like a vision for this stuff too. Just because like I think a lot of the times people see like hard work and they're like, oh, like I could see myself doing that. It's like, okay, but the vision and passion are like mixed together. That's why like people are able to work. Like that's why people are able to work hard toward those things. And I think like a huge thing a lot of the times is this is why like people say like when you're going towards success, and like I'm not against people being in relationships when you're achieving something, as long as it's not interfering with that, if that makes sense. Because I guess just from personal experience, every time I've ever tried to like chase after something, I get distracted. But like it's a like people don't realize it's a grind. Like your vision can be easily
its spot gets usurped in your mind when you have a relationship. Because I mean, my kind of philosophy for dating is like, if I don't love you, I would not get in a relationship with you. Like, it would be a disservice to you and to me to kind of falsify what our expectations are. Because I mean, I look at it as like dating. You're gonna date to marry. 100%. Or else, what else are you really gonna do? You're gonna have a girlfriend for the rest of your life? Are you just gonna have a housemate for the rest of your life? Are you just gonna? You're basically dating to break up. At that point, if you have no intentions of being together,
or dating and dying. I mean?
Yeah, and so like I don't get those type of people. But then again, I mean, that's my philosophy. Is like I always think like, in a relationship, you should both be equally yoked. Like the responsibilities and the support system that you give, it's like you're giving 100% and expecting 0 in return. Yeah. And if they do the same thing, you're both getting 100% instead of I give you 50%, you give me 50%. We're both getting like meh results in the relationship, and then we keep running into problems. We're arguing every night. Yeah. And then it slowly just breaks away until somebody cheats or somebody does something so irreversibly damaging to the relationship that you both cut it off right there, and it leaves bad blood between you. Or if it's mutual, you kind of ruin that friendship.
Yeah, no, I would just say it's like ruined either, depending, like you said, like mutual would be like we both felt this way, like is that oh yeah, like it's fine, like I get it, like that's mutual. But like
if one person's in love with you and the other person stops loving you, then it's like, how are you gonna explain that to them? They still view you like, what do you mean? Like I gave you everything. I love you with my whole heart. What do you mean you lost feelings? What did I do wrong?
But sometimes I also feel it's like we liked each other, but like this can't work, right? It's like
this circumstance
is terrible.
Yeah.
Because
bless you.
I feel like those ones are the worst, because I feel like that brings out some toxicness in the relationship, because
someone gets viewed as like being selfish.
And it's like selfish.
It's like, no, if you just saw my vision that I have and I can explain it to you, like put it on like a showcase, like slides showing by, it's like, this is what's gonna happen, this is what I'm trying to build. And I feel like if you have a girlfriend, like look for the character of that woman in the first place, and if that person kind of supports your dream and is like, no, like, yeah, I agree with you. Like, you can do this type of thing, and they're that rock for you. Not like basically holding down everything, making money while you do this and not work. It's like, no, they're there to be your support system, saying like, talking with you about your day, talking about your dreams, like saying, hey, how was today? How did you achieve X, Y, and Z? Don't forget you have X meeting that you have to go to. Don't forget to call this person, get this person this gift. They're kind of there to help you through it, as well as they're building that relationship too. That's together. Like you give a woman a house, she'll make it a home type of deal. You know what I mean? It's the same. You can do this shit by yourself, but you don't have that other half of you that can really complete it.
Complete the task.
Like you said, if it's like the circumstance is not right yet, but the person is, it's the hardest feeling to kind of like break that off, because you're the right person for me. It's just the timing
is
not there.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think relationships, especially nowadays, are just so...
It's the like kind of mentality of young people now, especially with social media and basically validation. Everybody wants to be validated in one way or another, especially like think about young men when they're growing up. They need to have validation from like a father figure, a masculine role model in their life to kind of know, okay, I'm on the right track. I know what I need to do. Who they want to be, figuring that out. You need mentors when you're young, so you can first like know your interests and learn how to be sociable. Learn your skills, learn your conversation pieces, know how they like hold themselves in society. Like, what do they display in public and versus at home? And that's kind of like, you need to have that figure, or else you'll get led down different paths, and kind of makes you slip up more. It's like for me, bro, I don't know if I had like, I always think like, bro, I never really had like the whole brothers system. I didn't have like tons of uncles. It was I had 3 girl cousins and 2 sisters, and I was the only boy. That was like only son in my family, and it was only me and my dad. And my dad worked at his own business at his trailer shop down in Lakewood for ever since I could remember, and it was always him working all the time. And he'd come home and he'd be exhausted from manually working on trailers with himself and like maybe one other guy. But that one guy kind of kept switching out. And
it's exhausting.
As soon as I was able to kind of work there, I was working there with him. I could see from behind the scenes like, this is how much stress he's accruing. And then it led me to be like more empathetic and like understanding of people's situations. And so like, oh, I would like to like go play or something, like do something, but I know like you're working your ass off. So I'm not gonna ask of that to save you the trouble of like and energy of doing this thing with me. But having that, it was like, how was I learning how to be a man? You know? And, like my situations, like if I wanted to go ask this girl out on a date, or like if I want to take somebody out, you know, what would I do? I had an idea, but like, what's the other experience? Like, you would ask your dad that, or you would ask your uncles that, or you would ask, hey, older bro, like, what would you do when you're in my position? Like, relatability.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, you're able to come to them and say, hey,
you had that support system that you could talk to. But like having all sisters and all girls, it was weird growing up, because it was like, we don't really relate on a bunch of stuff, but like, you're my blood. Like, you're my family, so I'm gonna hang out with you. But it's like, bro, it's like so awkward in that position. But then when I was at school with like a couple of my friends, I felt completely normal. It was chill. It was like an environment where I could really be myself more. But like, shared interest wise and like conversation piece wise, it would be, I was so good at talking to like women at that point. Like, I was having conversations with my cousins and my sisters. It was like, bro, easy money if I had to talk to like a nurse or like somebody that had a small talk was easy. But then when it came to like talking with my uncles or something, like, bro, my social skills on that level was like fucking tanked, you know what I mean? Like, I had to learn from scratch again how to be sociable, to be a man, and like how to be masculine, you know what I mean?
I mean, I think we share a lot of common ground there, for sure, because I had the same situation where he was gone all the time, and then right after he would go work out.
Yeah.
And then like just come home. Like I can't really recall a lot of times that we spent together, and there's some other things I'm not really gonna explain because like the time
off the podcast,
the times we spent together were a mixture of you know what I mean. But essentially the same thing. Like it was. How do I explain this? So like when it came to like whatever, like if I had the doctor's appointment, I told this to someone the other day at my church. When I go and get a doctor's appointment, I look for a female. Not because I want a female grabbing my testicles and telling me to cough and it turns me on or something. Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, nothing weird at all. But for me, it's about that's what I was comfortable around. Yeah. That's what I was easy to talk to. Yeah. And then when it came to dating girls, like girls that were attractive, that was hard. Yeah. Because now I don't know how from a guy's point, thing, how do I do this? But if
you look at movies, you try to grab examples from society, but it's like that's not. You don't know if that's proper or not.
Yeah,
you think you just see that thing in like a movie maybe, and it works out like in a romantic comedy. But then you go and try it in real life, and it's like specifically for that woman, like you don't think about the personality, you don't know about, like conversation cues. No, she's dropping hints at you, and that's the thing where your dad or like your uncles would say, no, this is what she really means. This is what, if she does this is what she's going to do. And that's the thing that you kind of learn more about. And you can learn to better gauge females from like a man's perspective versus a woman's perspective.
Yeah,
you get 100%. Fed more, like in my situation or like anybody else's situation that's similar. You grow more in that situation where like you can understand a female's mind better as another female. But then like from a guy's perspective, you have more terrain to go through because it's a different like filter.
Yeah, 100%.
And like I totally agree for dating wise, because man, finding a girl that you really like, you already are not yourself. You want to portray yourself as like the best version of you possible. Yeah. And then that's not you. It's not genuine.
Yeah.
And so you're basically like fronting, you're like lying to her, and I was like, no, I am this guy.
That's why I said I was lying.
And she was like, I'm this guy, and you believe me to be this guy, but then when you can't keep up with that image, it almost seems like you stopped caring or like stopped being you.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't the case to begin with.
Yeah.
And it's having that confidence and security in yourself that you're saying, this is the character, like you know your character, you know who you are, and you trust your decisions, and you know what you say is what you mean.
Yeah, 100%.
Carrying that through with a relationship makes it, in my opinion, 10 times easier if you're both transparent with each other, no lies, telling the truth all the time. You guys can get through stuff way faster without the bullshit in the way versus like if you know you're lying and you know you have to keep up a story, you have to keep up with like so many tales and stories that you don't know what they're saying is true, like truly what they mean. Yeah. And then getting into really like intimate situations to where you're vulnerable with them, talking about like your past traumas, or like telling them, hey, this is what I experienced when I was growing up. Yeah. Like, when you do X, Y, and Z, it reminds me of this moment, and then I react in that way. Yeah. You know, and having those conversations, you need to have full trust in that person to hold that knowledge, because then it can get whipped on you like that. Yeah. And then they start abusing that knowledge, and they start bringing it up when they're angry or when they're spiteful.
Yeah, because it makes you act a certain way, or it makes you even more vulnerable. They know your reaction
at that point.
Yeah.
And then having the emotional maturity to know, okay, that's gonna, what she said is purposely made, trying to get me to have a reaction, to be angry or something. And then you're able to kind of reel yourself back. Yeah. You're in control of your emotions. That way you'll be in control of yourself. Yeah. That's the only thing that you really need to focus about. Because they'll react, they'll do whatever to get a rise out of you to make their point justifiable. Yeah. And to say, you always get angry when I bring up X, Y, and Z, or you always make a fuss out of this. It's not a big deal. If you're able to maintain your emotions and maintain your composure, you can break it down from a logical perspective, saying
100%.
Hey, when you say, oh, I'm going to be back at 11, and you leave and you come back at 5 in the morning, you're like, hey, what the fuck was that? You just came back. I thought you were dead. was texting everybody. And you're like, you're overreacting. You're being overly protective. Yeah. I'm my own person. I don't have to tell you
X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
And it's like, not really. really, you told me you were going to be there, and I care about you, and I care about your well-being. And so when you don't come back when you say, I'm obviously going to try to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
And that having that no trust between you, saying, not having,
Yeah.
telling me I'm going to be here, and then you not showing up, or, hey, or even just calling saying, hey, I'm going to be at my girlfriend's house until 5 a.m. to crash. I'm too drunk to drive, or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay, understandable.
Yeah.
Have fun. Get some sleep. You know what I mean? You'd have that trust with them.
Yeah.
If you're like an untrusting relationship, you think, okay, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Why aren't they talking to me? And then you start creating scenarios, and you start having anxiety and like, having this kind of crow on your shoulders, like crilling into you, saying, this is what she's doing. This is what she's like whispering into you, but you have that because you don't trust them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you have that thought pattern because of X, Y, and Z prior hand. But,
yeah. I mean, I would say like most definitely like the part I like that you described is like when you're confident and pretty much just yourself and like you're
being genuine.
Yeah, being genuine, because genuine and confidence definitely go together.
It coincides.
Yeah, it's easily that you can't have one without the other essentially, because I felt like what was it? A lot of the times in my experiences, and I'm pretty sure your experiences too, sounds like we had a similar like relationship with female to male, is like when things get like rough. I don't know if you've been in that with the relationships, but when things get rough for me, I think they know, like they don't know obviously like the deep things, because like I didn't know too like psychologically what maybe was going on with me and why I acted that way prior.
You can't tell them what you don't know.
Yeah, you can't tell them what you don't know. So then like they pick up on like, okay, this aggravates them, this aggravates them. They're gonna do this. They're gonna do this, and it's like, for example, for me, if I'm gonna play out a character, which I've done before, which is not like necessarily being fake. Like I'm still acting my persona, but the things that I'm doing, the presentation. So like, for example, when a lot of the time, every girl I've talked to, this is not anyone in particular, but I've always texted them throughout the day. I hate texting throughout the day, and I hate random phone calls. I hate it. I can't stand it. I can't stand random phone calls. I hate it. I don't want people, like, it's fine if like there's something coming up and like you're trying to get a hold of me today. Yeah. I'm not pissed off picking up the phone. Like, no, you need to know where I'm at, or like we need to figure out a different time. Like, I'm expecting to meet you. I don't like random bullshit calls.
Just nothing of substance. Just
yes,
hey, and baby, what you doing right now?
Like I don't that type of stuff. I don't like that, because first off, it's interrupting. Second off, to me, it's rude. And you might be like, oh, well, that's rude. How is that rude if their intentions are good? I don't care if your intentions are good. It's because it's selfish. It's selfishly motivating that you want to know what's going on right now, even though you're like, oh, I was like thinking about you. To me, there's still like some selfish motive in that, because it's like, oh, I just want to let you know. What do you need to let me? I know that. Yeah. I know that. Like, you can tell me when I get home, like, hey, I was thinking about you today at work. Well, you don't need to tell me right then and there, because you should know I'm at work right now. I'm working on something. Yeah. And so, like, that would happen in a lot of my past relationships, where I'm just like, dude, I am, like, I get to that point where I'm like, I don't want to text you throughout the day. It doesn't mean I don't like you. It's just like, that's not what I'm about.
From my perspective, seeing that and hearing it is like, I totally understand what you mean. Yeah. You're like, sometimes you're in a mindset where any distraction will take you out of it, and you lose your focus, and you can't get back into it. But from the other side, like, I can still understand, like, if you, let's say, genuinely, you just think, oh, I'm at the store, you see your girl's favorite flowers, and you're like, oh, that's nice.
Different. That's different.
And you remind yourself of her, and then you start thinking about some memories, and then you're like, I wonder what she's doing right now. You just call her up out of the blue and she's saying, hey, what you doing? Yeah. Something like that, especially if it's long distance, or like
girls like that.
Yeah. And for a guy, first off, explaining like, hey, this is what annoys me. This is my work schedule. This is what's going on in my life. So that you should just be aware of that. Yeah. I'm going to have shit going on during this time of the day. If you call me during this time of the day, it needs to be either urgent or something that's going to affect me today. Yeah. Or else it can wait until I come home. You know? Because that time specifically is a time where I need to focus on X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And you just have to have that conversation with her, and have her to acknowledge, saying, okay, I understand that. This time kind of works for you, you're not busy. And then she learns your schedule. Yeah. She learns when to call you and when not to. But if it's just like, she doesn't really care and she's kind of bored.
Yeah.
And then she just keeps calling you, even though she knows, like, oh, he's busy right now. I just want to talk to him because I'm bored and I don't have anything to do. That's where I can understand it's like a selfish motive behind that. But other than just having that conversation, kind of explaining what you expect in the relationship, first off, managing expectations in a relationship, way easier to do when you first start it versus, hey, baby, I know we're 5 years into this, but this is kind of what I expect out of you. And
yeah,
it's like,
that's
bro,
way
you've been
too
with
late.
Me for like 5 years.
Yeah,
What are you talking
that's
about?
way too different.
But just managing expectations in the beginning of the relationship, talking about your guys' work schedules, talking about like your love languages. How do you like to receive affection? When are the times can I take you out on a date when your schedule is free? At kind of learning more things about the person and learning their schedule to kind of know when to plan things. Because you don't want to obviously, hey, are you like a fucking business meeting or something saying, hey, I'm going to take you out on July 8th at 5 o'clock at 2, so clear up your itinerary for that day. It's like, it takes the nuance and the romance kind of out of it. It becomes more like robotic.
Yeah, because it's not natural.
Yeah.
And aside from relationships, expectations are like, I don't know how to explain expectations because it's the worst but best thing.
Yeah.
Because
if you have low expectations and you exceed those, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And if you have high expectations and you come under it, it's very underwhelming.
Yeah, it's
and you
underwhelming.
Feel defeated, but then their expectations, you created them yourself. Nobody forced you to believe in those and have them.
Yeah, 100%. Because like expectations, to me, expectations is literally like if you were to take the dopamine system and literally just call it something, it would literally be the expectation system for me. People say it's like the motivation system, but you're motivated because you're expecting something out of it.
It's the like risk to reward.
Yeah,
this is
risk
what I'm
to
going
reward.
To get. It's like
because you're expecting something.
It's like the Pavlov's dog test. Like when he rang a bell, the dog starts salivating. Because those experiences led to when I hear this bell, food's gonna appear to me, and so I start salivating. My brain acknowledges that's the signal. I'm gonna start salivating because I'm gonna eat. Yeah, my mouth's gonna be dry, like etc. But same thing can go for any type of behavior. If you start rewarding your behaviors for things that you want to do, your brain recognizes that. It's like your taste buds. So your taste buds kind of regenerate and get new flavors or like new favorites. The more food you eat, and the more food that you eat that's the same, you start teaching your taste buds to expect that type of food. Yeah. So like any high sugar, like if you eat candy, let's say you eat Swedish fish,
Swedish fish is so good.
Bro, that was my favorite when I was growing up.
It's like one of my favorite now. They need to make like a slightly
they made the new
sour
flavors.
Version.
Oh my dude, sour Swedish fish. I remember they came out with the tropicals, like the twin tails. Yeah. Dude, I love those because I eat one and eat the two. It's like the same thing with Sour Patch Kids, but like, as I was saying, like say you eat candy 3 times a week, and then
prep.
Bro, tell me about it.
Yeah,
2 weeks out. 2 weeks out, by the way. Summer Shreds event, Houston, Texas. But like having that kind of expectation, like I'm gonna eat candy, my brain's more accustomed to sugars in my mouth, and then when you try to like cut that out entirely and eat kale salads instead of that candy, your body's gonna be like, bro, what are you doing to me? I expect 8 ounces of Swedish fish. You just gave me 14 pounds of kale. This is not the same, chief. So kind of building that, taking that out of your diet and then eating that same thing, like say you want to eat kale instead of candy, you have to do that for such a long time for you to get new taste buds to get accustomed to that. Right. And then your cravings kind of die down, and you still have them, but they're like minuscule. And it's like you can ignore it, you can put it away and just eat your normal diet without it affecting you, versus like you just had like Krispy Kreme donuts and then tomorrow you're out and you're craving for another one that day, and it's like, I can get it, but if I just eat my normal food, I just think about that memory, having that taste. You start salivating when you start thinking about it, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I think that like something that I realized recently that was good, and it just, I mean, we're both religious, so you can take this out of whatever perspective you want. But for me, like, when you're rewarding yourself off of things that could go away like that, it's so bad. And the reason that I'm saying like religious or not is because when you do things like act of kindness, love, joy, seeing your friends, seeing your family, those things can just recirculate. You can run on those things forever
100%.
till you die. But like if you're running on something that can just vanish, like that's why when people like, I was like, just because like some people on the podcast don't know because I haven't been recording lately, I developed overcompulsion disorder, and like thankfully like it's been going way better since I've been on medication. Like today has been fine. Like it's been great. It's been great. But I've had to do a lot of research. One of the things I found out, this had to do tied with trauma and other things that had gone when I came back. But when you lose something, some people sometimes when they lose someone that they love, 100%. Or someone that or a job or something that's like really deep rooted in them,
that's in your life. That's gain meaning almost.
Meaning, dopamine, everything. These people can like, that's why depression and that's why anxiety happens, because like all of a sudden you've extracted something that was really deeply rooted within that person, and now they feel really empty and their motivation now goes down because it's like, okay, wow, like this is all I've known, this is what's gotten me motivated. And so like when you start putting your acts into acts of kindness, other things that can never go away, it really helps. But like I said, the loss of a loved one is totally different, because I could not imagine that. Like I don't know if you know this, but stressful events can actually trigger, for those that are susceptible, schizophrenia in people.
Yeah, dude.
And I had no idea about that.
No, because it's like think about your brain almost shattering, and then you're picking up the pieces after that, because that incomprehensible amount of grief that you experience.
Yeah.
Like, I experienced that, like, I want to say like 3 times in my life. Like once it was when my grandmother on my mom's side passed, which she was my mom's Korean, and so she was like full-blooded Korean. So the culture was completely different. When I talked to her, it was at her house, and first off, even understanding the context of which you were raised in, like how your mom was, how your grandmother acted, what was the actual situation in the house, what were the finances that were affecting X, Y, and Z decision. You kind of able to digest that better now. But at the time, it was like she had she had either liver cancer or like cancer behind something. So like at the medicine at the time, or like x-rays at the time, they couldn't see it, or like they would misdiagnose it. And she said, you're just too stressed, you should stop doing things,
it goes off after like a certain amount of time.
I got you. But audio still recording?
Yeah, we still got audio right here.
First podcast. But
okay.
Anyways, after that moment, it was like she already had, like, when we found out she had cancer, it was like stage 5, stage 4, so it was way too late for her to be saved. And she went through the chemotherapy, and I remember going to like the nursing home she was at, kind of oblivious to actually was the real consequences of what was going on. Yeah. But my mom would tell me, like, your grandma has cancer, and she is in this home to hopefully get treated. They obviously soften the blow for you, but like going through that when she actually died, she was on her deathbed, and I could see her like literally have to carried up, sit on a toilet, and be in pain for like 30 minutes, sit back up, go back into the bed, and she would still gather the strength up to speak sometimes. And I remember when she was like on her deathbed in this nursing home, she got transferred out of the hospital, like the treatment nursing home, to I don't know what they call it, like a death waiting room almost, it felt like. But I remember the pastor came in, and he was speaking these verses. I forget which verse he was really saying to her, but like she wouldn't speak for like the past 2 weeks. But then at that moment when he finished that verse, she would still listen. But she gathered up enough strength to say, I remember, like, that's right. That's right. And at that moment I was like, speechlessness almost. Like I felt a void of any type of emotion. I was just neutral at that point. I was just absorbing everything that was kind of going on in front of me. Because beforehand, I would be bawling my eyes out, telling her about my day at school, just crying because I knew what was going on. But in that moment when she spoke, I was like, Yeah. Taken aback, and then the day after, I think she passed away the day after that. And that was the last time I saw her. And at least I was there to hear her speak before she went. And like, for me, these events happened 2 years apart consecutively. So 2 years after my grandmother died, my grandfather on my dad's side, he passed away from pancreatic cancer. And I saw the whole situation happen again, where I just saw him getting weaker. And this time I knew I was ready. So I did anything I could to treat him. I was there for him for his blood pressure. I was there to give him his medication. I was there like at his house treating him for like 3 months, and anything he wanted to do, I was there. I did it. No questions asked. And still slowly saw him kind of going away. And then he got transferred to the hospital. After this one incident where his hip bone got shattered because he slipped off of like a 2-step, into the garage or something. Those 2-step little stairs, he missed him and he hit his hip bone. But side note, in that moment, it was my grandma's Chihuahua. So I left the door open and it ran out. The garage door was open, so she kind of ran out into the street, and I didn't get up to go grab her instantly. So my grandfather went, and that's where he slipped and he hit his hip and it broke. It shattered. I kind of held myself to like, bro, you should have done something back then. But at the time now, it's like, it's already done. You know? I can't keep thinking about it. Yeah. But eventually, cancer got worse. He was on experimental treatments. They have those in hospitals. You can sign up for it. And I didn't know that at the time. That voids your insurance for any type of life insurance you have. If you sign up for experimental treatment, you can't get life insurance out of it.
That's weird. It's experimental.
I know. And they say, no.
That's so weird because
we got cheated out of the insurance money for his death at that point. They're saying they wouldn't pay out for it because it was experimental treatment.
That makes no sense. Experimental treatment should be free because it's an experiment.
Yeah. And
it
was free. It was free for the experiment, but you don't get the insurance money out of it now.
That's from...
They can blame it on cause of death was this, and you purposely signed up for it, you waived your rights, etc., etc.
It's a business, I know. But it's a business. It's terrible. It's crap. Whatever.
And I mean, he didn't even die from the cancer. He died from a blood clot.
So
formed in his lower body because his muscles would balloon up. And I forget what caused it, but I'm pretty sure it was some type of blood pressure thing. But I don't know. The blood clot formed in his leg and it traveled up to his heart. And then stopped. Gone. And, I remember they knew the blood clot was happening. They knew it was forming, and they told us saying, "You have to give your any last wishes." And he talked to him. He was out, obviously not conscious, and it was just one person at a time going into the room, giving their piece. And in that moment, I had flashbacks back to my grandmother on that bed. Same thing, and I gave everything. I did everything I could what I thought I could.
Yeah, you're doing what you can.
At that moment, I laid my piece out, and I was like, okay, so 2 years have gone by, and it's the same thing. Yeah. I thought, what's gonna happen the next 2 years? Having this whole burden on my shoulder, because at that point, my grandfather, he was a very good role model in my life. He was always there for me whenever I went out to Chelan for the summers, or just basically there whenever he was there. He would be supporting me, teaching me, and just a bunch of those random conversations you have in a car. That's what I've known him for. He would always blow my mind with a new fact or something that I would take for constructive criticism to make myself better, And after that point, I lost two of my most loved people in my life. And I think what else could go wrong? But 2 years later, my mom and dad sat me and my sister down and talked to us about, hey, we're getting a divorce, and there was so many other things prior to that. I recently talked to my mom, not recently, 3 months ago. I talked to my mom, had a conversation at dinner, just randomly we got on the topic, but she told me no, in 2004, 2004, so 2 years after I was born, they thought about splitting up already. And so the entire time I was growing up, they knew we don't really love each other. They still love each other, but they can't be together. And they had their own sections. My dad would be in the living room, my mom would be in the bedroom, and then every day they would be in the same spots. They never were the same room really, and that's what I grew up with. So I thought that was normal to begin with, like that whole childhood and the relationship they had, like physical affection and et cetera, et cetera. That's what I was used to, and so I would go over to like other friends' houses or something. I would think, oh, this is just how their parents are, but this is how my parents are. I thought it's normal, you know. And going back after that, when I knew they were getting a divorce at that time, I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what? Why? Why did you decide to split up? And especially like before I go into high school, like I was thinking at least you're gonna do it after I graduate or something.
After you graduate, like, can you just wait? Like,
because at that point, it's like there's so many instrumental things. Like you think about going from 8th grade to 9th grade, you're a freshman.
Yeah.
Freshman to sophomore. Sophomore to junior, and then junior to senior.
Yeah.
So you're already thinking about what am I going to do for college? What am I going to do afterwards? Am I going to do sports? There's so many things that you're developing as a student and as a person that you need a support system. You need to have people in there that you can talk to and divulge these dreams and aspirations that you have. So you can actually get some criticism, some feedback from a person that you love and that you value their opinion, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I would say it's just funny that you say like 2 years. I have this theory, and I don't know if it's true.
Lay it on me.
And this is just my experience. Every 2 years, something bad happens. I've always told myself that. And
2020 COVID, 2022 monkeypox.
Not necessarily that. Not necessarily.
I know.
Like,
I'm just saying,
world,
like,
but in like people's lives that I talk to.
Yeah.
I'm always like,
why?
I mean, like some people, like just in my own, like I think, okay, 2 years ago.
Where was I? What was I going through?
Okay, well, 2 years ago now is a little different, but I'm talking about like
before 2020, before
2021. And then 2019 are the 2 years, because like 2021 was okay, like it was good, but like it got really bad toward the end, and I would consider that like the mix. Because like I mean like it was self-infliction, but it was still
that's self-destructiveness.
Yeah, it was self-destructiveness both times, and so like I always think, okay, like seriously, like every 2 years I think it's either like something. Back then, it was like divorces when I was a kid and stuff. Because when you're a kid, you're not really like
paying attention. Accustomed to this.
You're not accustomed to like making mistakes yet. You're just like, oh,
you're living.
Yeah, you're living. Like that's it. That's all you're doing as a kid. And so back then it was like that. And then as I got older, it became like my own choices and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I think like I'm happy all that stuff happened, because now if I went through something like that, it would be like, okay, whatever.
It prepared you for it.
Yeah, and that's why I think we talked about on the podcast too, like I want to be prepared, like I'm competing in all this stuff, because I'll like David Goggins has said, and I like just believe in it heavily, like whatever you do with your physiology will affect you mentally. And I just think like, okay, if I push myself super hard physically, something difficult that comes up in my life again won't be as big of a problem, because 100%. I pushed myself in a super hard condition to get to a certain point, and so I'm able to combat that a lot better.
I agree with you on that point, because it's like the concept of grit in people. It was this one college study where they just took a group of people that were highly intelligent out of high school, like 4.0s, and they put them in a college exam or something. I forget the exact test, but they also took like half of them were like those scholar type of people, and then the other half were just blue collar like worker type of people. They had hard grit. They were used to accustomed to working their asses off at something that they like most of the time didn't like, but they knew it had to be done, and they knew they were like capable of doing these tasks. And they found out who gives up first. Like the highly intelligent people that have kind of got by in high school, that didn't have to struggle because they were obviously ahead of the program.
They were gifted.
Yeah. And versus the people that had to struggle along through the mud with it. And they found out like more of those intelligent people just kind of flunked out. They couldn't stick with it. They couldn't really push through those obstacles in their testing, or like even when they put them in the workforce necessarily, because once it stops coming that easy to you, you're not accustomed to not winning, not achieving what you set out to do, versus if you're already struggling at a young age. Like I'm thankful that I kind of been grown up in a manual labor type of environment. Like since I was a kid, I would go out and feed horses with my grandfather in Chelan and learn how to toss hay bales and learn how to go at like 8 o'clock at night, drive up to the ranch where we're holding those horses and feed them, properly take care of them, prepare everything for the next day, and then come back home. Like it was an expected thing of you. You can complain if you want to, but you realize, why do I even complain? It's just a duty that I have to do and that I have to execute. And kind of that mentality took that into fixing trailers for my dad, took that into work as my current job is now, and it helped me out so much, because no matter what I went through, what job it was, I knew, look, if I just stick with it, listen to what I have to do, I can get through it. It's not a big problem. I can complain as much as I want to, but who's listening to me? Who's gonna stop it? Are you really gonna be satisfied with like, oh, it's okay, you don't have to do any work, you can just stand there and not do anything? You realize like you're cutting off your own potential for growth, and you're cutting off you making breakthroughs in your yourself. You know what I mean?
100%. And that, I'm pretty sure we agree on this. Like COVID was to make men weaker.
And it felt like I always look at what people did during that time. You know, that time where you're like, for a complete lockdown, nobody was working, nobody was doing anything, and you saw like,
bro, I'm playing Minecraft.
Yeah, dude. Like once you boot up Minecraft the first time in like 3 years, you know, okay, bro, I don't got shit to do.
You're down bad.
And dude, I remember it was like 6 months into first COVID. And I feel like that's when like underground gyms kind of started opening up, and I think at least around that time, I saw people what they were doing. Most people were like either going out campfires, getting drunk, doing a bunch of things that, I mean, like, think about it, is like you wouldn't do if you didn't have responsibilities. And I saw other people, they took this as an opportunity for growth. They took this time like, okay, I'm gonna read a bunch of books that I've been meaning to read.
I wish that was
diving into like passions that I've been wanting to create.
Okay,
like,
I did do that.
And I took it as like, bro, I just got my gains. Like I just benched 210, I think, like right before COVID happened. And I was like, I can't lose this progress. So for like the first 6 months or something, I had no gym equipment. I'd still do like push-ups or like something I could do, but I started like thinking, okay, more time that goes on, the less progress and more I'm gonna receive in where I was. So I have to make a difference now. And thankfully my dad was still like doing trailer work, and I worked at his shop. I was working like overtime as much as I could to get enough money and to first buy my home gym now, which is like, at that time, COVID prices, bro, 35 to 40% markup. I was like, how much are they taxing for this? I know this power rack is not $390. It's like a $250 one from Walmart. But at that time, I was like, fuck it, bro. I can't. I have to make the payment. I have to pay for it. Put $2,000 into this home gym for a barbell, pair of 45s, pair of 35s, pair of 25s, 2 pairs of 10s. So like 4 10 plates. And then 2.5s. Had that, clips, and then a power rack. That was it. And that's how much training I did. And from that 1 year, I gained back from 130 pounds to like 152. And it was that time, was like I had to put the work in. There's nothing stopping me, nothing really holding me back, no responsibility. So it's my whole effort into this, achieving this goal that I set out to do. And I had talks with my friends about it, but they had a different mindset at the time. They were like, bro, why are you stressing so much about it? Just relax, just take it easy. And like they would like want to, my whole friend group was like not really as driven and were business minded. Like Abraham was like the only type of friend that had that same mindset as me. But everybody else was like, nah, bro, I'm chilling. I just want to go to the, there's like one spot near Narrows or like Point Defiance, or I want to go to the bridge, and like you just stay out. They just want to smoke and like hang out, not do anything for like 4 hours at the time during COVID, because nothing was happening. You could stay in your car for like 4 or 5, 6 hours looking at the bridge, and no one would bat an eye. It'd be like, yeah, bro, we're chilling. And I was like literally 2 months hanging around with them, and I was like, bro, I can't keep doing this. Literally, like I can't keep just sitting here not doing anything. because it would annoy me to a point.
Yeah.
To where like I know I could be doing something. I know I have the potential
Right.
to achieve something right now,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not. I'm in a situation to where nobody else around me is doing anything. They're telling me like, just relax about it, just chill. It's COVID time.
Nah, dude, not time to chill. It's time to pick your ass up.
That's where I was like, time to go be smooth.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna say like, COVID.
It showed what people's like kind of heart was at with their own goals. Because if they took the time off to just fuck around and not do anything, they're still probably fucking around and not doing anything right now. Or at least doing the bare minimum to maintain that. Or, on the flip side, taking that initiative, they're probably way more successful than they were before COVID.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, for me, at least, like, COVID, it was just an odd time because, like, nothing ever happened like that in either of our lives. Yeah. But, like, I think for me, like, it made me, I'm not even gonna lie, it made me weaker because, like, I may have been going for a passion for sure, but, like, not, like, physically weaker. It made me, like, just so mentally because, because I was, like, I remember at one point, like, I had, like, a feeling, and I remember telling this guy I was hanging out with at the time, so I can't hang out with you anymore. Mm-hmm. We go and Uber eat in your car all day. Like, we get food all the time. Yeah. And I was like, literally my credit, like, we spent $300 in food this month. Like, that's stupid.
That's my friend with Uber Eats.
Yeah, that's stupid. That shit all the time. And I'm like, dude, like, this is stupid. Like, and I literally told him, and he took offense, blocked me on Snapchat. I'm like, all right, whatever. But, like, the reason I said it made me weaker wasn't just because of that moment. It was because, like, before like, I knew something was wrong the first time a wave of anxiety came over me. And so my anxiety for me is a symptom of telling me, like, hey, something's not right. And depending on, like, what happens, because this, like, of course, a condition is different than, like, saying, hey, something's wrong. So for me, it was like, things are slow. Like, this is odd.
You're not used to going at this pace.
Yeah, like, I was at a pace, like, literally, I went from, like, this is how my day was structured every single day when 2019 in the beginning before COVID. Like, every single day was like this. Get up at 5:30, be at the gym by 7, work out. I had my protein pancakes already made in my car, and I had, like, a protein shake in there too. So at 9 o'clock when I got in, have the post-workout meal.
Yep.
Get to TCC at 9:15 for a class. Didn't shower yet. I just got done with the gym. Sweaty. And I mean, like, I don't sweat that much at the gym.
It's the musk.
Yeah, it's the musk. Yeah, so I go to my class. Class gets done. It's an hour and a half class, by the way. So it gets done around 11. Class is done at 11. I go back home. I have to get, like, my demand was 3 TikToks, so I'd bust those out really quick. I had 30 minutes to do that. And then after that, I would, I'm recording in the middle of all of this stuff too going on. So this is every day. And then after that, so what time is it? I don't know. I would do homework.
It'd be like 10, 20-ish.
No, 11:30, because the class got done at 11 because it was an hour and a half class.
Okay.
So 11:30, a little later, because, like, I'm not counting the time of driving back home. So it's probably around 12. And then I would hop on, hurry up and do homework because I had work at either 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. So I had 2 hours left, and my shifts were till 10 o'clock at night. And so I would do that homework, and then I get to work, go work till 10, come home, hurry up and make my breakfast, my post-workout meal for the next day, get into bed, scroll through, get some ideas for the next day, click it, and go off and go to bed.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you're working at, like, such a high intensity,
you've stayed to a routine for
so long, and then, like, you shut it down.
It's so unnatural.
And the anxiety didn't hit me until over a year later.
Yeah.
It didn't hit me until, like, I switched over to pursuing social media full time, because it was like, first off, it was just different.
Social media is always going to be what is it? You can't depend on it to be the same. You're always changing with the times.
Yeah, so you're always changing with it. So, like, I switched over to it. It was just very odd. And I just kind of felt like dang, this is insane. I think that's why a lot of people, because men especially, and I did this, I have it in like the book that I'm writing, but books are hard to write, dude.
Yeah.
Like if you know anything about writing books,
the proofreading, and then you're just going through like, okay, I can make this page a little bit better.
yeah, I mean, like I should probably hop back on. I should probably make like a list so I can just get like a page done per day with it or something.
Just
but
a goal that you can achieve.
Yeah, just a goal I can achieve every day with it. But then I start going on and on. Like I'll keep going. But anyway, I literally talk about like men during COVID and like so suicide rates went up for men 8% during COVID. They went down for women 8% during COVID. And so like if you know anything about men, and I believe that men and women have roles in this. I'm not saying you can't be a woman and go have a job. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like that literal data literally proves right there that men have to have a high intensity working day. They have to be providers. They have to have purpose. Yes, purpose is huge for guys, because if they don't have purpose, they feel depressed. They feel anxious.
They suffer in silence.
They suffer in silence.
They don't tell anybody until, like, I know
it gets terrible.
For me, bro, it was like I would always bottle up my emotions like a jar, and then like when I'm alone, just out of nowhere, start kind of breaking down. Then, like, you just have this whole meltdown by yourself, and then put a cork in it. I released enough, so I'm good. I can just keep going on. And I realized at that point, like, I can't do this. I won't be I'm not gonna be a better person doing this. It's gonna create more problems than it is saving some people slight discomfort or something, like specific
like
situations.
Telling someone or something. And
I feel like some guys view it as like a weakness of showing emotion, but you have to realize how to handle that emotion. You can't just blanket it and stuff it in a jar. You have to understand why you feel that way. And then understand what kind of caused you to feel that way, etc. Kind of doing like past work, like I don't know what the term they call it, like shadow work or something, but it's like some term that
shadowing.
It's like
I don't know.
But you're basically looking through your past with a fine comb, and then understanding the situations, the context, the environments you were in, to then kind of have these reactions to X, Y, and Z. You know. Yeah. And then once you're able to kind of understand that part about yourself, you know yourself better from that point, and you can kind of more properly engage with somebody else, or engage in an environment that you know I'm going to be comfortable in. Well, not necessarily comfortable, but like safe in. I can be myself, be 100% genuine. I don't have to put up any barriers. I can trust the people that are around me, you know. So kind of having that for young men, or especially men in general, because most of the time you can be, I don't want to say like a hermit, but during COVID time, most guys were just in their houses, not going out, just kind of sitting around scrolling through the internet. And at that point, when a man doesn't have a purpose in his life, he literally like starts shutting down mentally, because like we're men innately, like it's in us to want to do something, have a purpose in our lives, and not just to be kind of an accessory in a house. Because at that point in COVID, it felt like, what am I really doing? I'm repeating the same day, but not doing anything different. And it was like the definition of insanity almost. Like, I'm doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
Which is insanity.
It's like, literally, you put yourself in a state of like psychosis almost. It's like, you lose your social skills, you lose your interests, because your interests are kind of determined about the environment you're in and the people that you're around. Because, I mean, you have your innate interests that you yourself dedicate to your personality, but you have things that you like to do with your friends, like 100%. Sports games with your friends, or even like going out enjoying food with your friends, like this certain spot. Like, you wouldn't go to Korean barbecue by yourself on a grill, you know what I mean? No. You can do that with like a bunch of people around you, so you can kind of engage, have conversation, because that's how you relax and have fun. And when COVID came around, it was like, you can't really do much. It's only like pleasure for yourself. Like, you can do video games, watch YouTube, do any type of thing that you want to, and no one's stopping you. Which is kind of leading you into this bad behavior, like almost toxic behavior of self-indulgence, and like, I don't have any responsibilities, everything's online, they're telling me to stay home, and it's like almost like you castrate a bull, you know, and you put it back into a pen. First off, the bull's uncastrated, he's bucking around wanting to get out. He has testosterone in his system. He wants to like dominate anybody else and gain ground or something. And once you castrate the bull, it's like he's chill, he's more tame, he doesn't have as much ambition, and he's more just grazing around. He still has the horns that makes him look like a bull, but mentally or like physically at that point, he's kind of no longer a bull. Yeah. He looks like it, but he's not. And that's like kind of what modern men kind of are becoming now. Like you look like a man, but are you truly like mentally a man? Are you having the experience and the responsibilities? Do you understand what it means? Do you understand the responsibilities you uptake? Yeah. And what you're bringing to a relationship, what you're bringing to a workspace, and what you're bringing into other people's lives. Like a man is supposed to be a pillar, kind of upholding a household. Right. You're that support beam. People can rely and depend on you. And when you become like kind of more effeminized, or like you start taking less responsibility and start blaming your circumstances for it, you kind of see yourself becoming less, valuing less. Because if somebody just sees you blaming your failure to do a task, let's say your job, and you say, no, it was my coworkers, they did this, my boss did that, I'm not in the right headspace for doing X, Y, and Z, which obviously it's valid in some cases, but just saying because you didn't want to, or you're feeling lazy, or you have an excuse in your head, and you continue to use the excuses, you start becoming less dependable. People are going to stop asking you to do things because they know, like, he might do it, but he's most likely going to just make an excuse on why he couldn't do it. Yeah. And just like kind of that behavior, it makes you progress slower, I guess.
100% character. I think character, because
you're not taking any risks.
No.
You're not being...
To me, it's not like all about risks, because like...
It's calculated risks.
Because I think you can take blind risks, and then if you have something else in your life that's comfortable, it works out, because everything else is kind of comfortable. This is just based off people I've seen before taking risks on certain things. I'm like, I couldn't take that risk because I don't have the comfortability, not the comfort in my strength to do it. It's the comfort, like financial comfort. It's things that like
you have that cushion. Yeah, if anything goes wrong,
you have a cushion, and so like, it's not character. You know, like character to me is like what you're. And my friend said this today on our walk. Character is what you do when no one's looking.
Yeah, 100%. Which is. It's like the shopping cart test. You go out to the grocery store and you see a shopping cart that's out in the parking lot. Are you the type of guy to go out of your way? You don't have a responsibility.
I get over compulsion disorder, dude. When I
do it. Anytime I see one, I grab it and put it back.
I had to force myself. We were in Idaho and some guy, I like regret not grabbing it, but some guy put it outside the store and I was just like,
it's like you pass it and you couldn't just like put it back.
I had to pass it without touching it. I was like, Levi, what we're going to do is we're not going to touch it.
If you touch it, it's yours now.
Like, if we touch it, I know you're going to put it back. You're going to walk all the way out into the parking lot, put it in the thing. And I was just like, just don't do it. And then, dude, when I see food on the floor in an aisle too, the worst. Bro. I have to pick it up. I can't walk past it. I
hate seeing like when somebody takes an item from a certain aisle and they just put it in a separate aisle because they couldn't afford it, or they just want to switch it for another item and they don't want to pick it back. Yeah. It's like, bro, why are there fruit snacks in the frozen food section?
Yeah. Bro. I mean, again, like we're both competing in that Spartan race. Probably going to close off this podcast. It's been a while. I got to get going here soon. I think. What time is it? Depending on the time. Oh yeah, I gotta get going soon. Okay. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so Jacob and I are both competing in a Spartan race.
Yes, sir.
My goal, and I'm not kidding you, goal, and it sounds crazy because we only have I have a month of prep after it. That's it.
That cardio.
Going for first place.
Yep.
Gotta get it. I don't know how. Because there's probably someone that's been there that's been training.
Oh, there's definitely people that have been training for it.
But I'm saying this on this podcast because I'm a lot of the things we talked about had to do with the mind today. It's a mindset. And that is gonna do it for the podcast.
It's been a pleasure, Levi.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Really quick before you leave, I just wanted to say thank you for tuning in today's episode on Outcast. If you liked today's episode, consider hitting that follow button. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and YouTube. Also, there's a donation link below to help support the podcast. Again, thank you, and I can't wait to have you for the next one.